What's happening, guys? It's Theo Goff here, the host of the Conquering Dyslexia podcast. Today, I want to do an episode for you guys. Now, today's episode follows on from last one, how to treat your dyslexia. Because last one we discussed, can you treat it? And we talked about the fact that you can't treat dyslexia. You can only look at dyslexia and look at how it affects you and treat like the individual parts of it. And then when you treat individual parts of it, you begin to work on yourself, you begin to work on some of the challenges that you have. Now today we can talk about, how to start treating your dyslexia. Guys, I hope we enjoy it and I hope we get a lot of value from it, and I'll see you all again when I do the second video for the episode.
So the big question is this: how can dyslexics like us create a place, a community, a tribe where people at any stage of life can come and solve any challenge, amplify their strengths, and ultimately help them become who they were meant to be, or in other words, conquer their dyslexia? That is the question, and this show is the answer. My name's Theo Goff, and welcome to the Conquering Dyslexia podcast.
Hey guys, so today, how can we start treating dyslexia? Now before I get into that, I just want to say, so right now I'm in Bangkok, the capital of Thailand, and I'm just such a lovely little room I got. I'm outside now, in this little corridor place, really like in a very like not rural but like local part of Thailand. It's not central, it's not very touristy at all, and it's quite kind of really nice. Anyway, so I was going to say that there might be cars starting in the background or there might be things happening, but I'll try to get it for you as quiet as possible. So, how can we treat our dyslexia? Now, how can we treat it? So, what's the first steps in treating? What's the first steps in going about, I have my dyslexia, I've had all these challenges, where can I go about, when I say treating it or working on it? Because one distinction I really want to make is that with treating on your dyslexia, you're just working on it. And working on dyslexia is exactly the same as working on yourself. It's the exact same as working on yourself, because your dyslexia is you. It's a unique part of you, but it's a you that you've got to live with. It's a you that you've got to deal with. And when you're dealing with this, when you're working on this part, you're working on yourself. In a way, I consider it self-help. Not as in the traditional medium where like that, it's just helping yourself. And us, like 20% of the population have dyslexia. So a lot of us work on ourselves in a dyslexia way. But when you look at it when we look at dyslexia, we want to look at dyslexia on the way that we actually want to think of it as not something that holds us back, but I think it's something we work on. Because it's like a gem. It's like a dirty gem that we want to clean and clean and clean and clean. And the more we clean it, the more we work on it, the shinier it becomes. And the shinier it will become, the more beautiful it will be. Because at the start, if you get a gem out of the ground, it would have loads of that had loads of mud. It would have loads of rubbish on it, and we'd spend time cleaning it. Because at the start, it looks ugly. The more time we clean it, the more beautiful it becomes. The more we work on our dyslexia, the more beautiful it becomes, and it becomes better than we could ever imagine it. Because when we go through the world hides us from what the beauty that it is, because of all the negatives that we have with dyslexia. That's what the world shows us first. Reading, writing, organisation, time management, all these issues, the world shows us first. So we look at it as all negative. We look at it as just a piece of mud. But once you start to work on it, once you start to investigate, learn about ourselves, learn about our dyslexia, learn about our strengths, things can be so much more beautiful, because because learn about dyslexia and work on yourself, learn strategies around the everyday issues we have. Things can be seen. Well, one thing, life seems so much more simpler. Life will get so much more better for you. It's not just you struggling, it's you finding solutions. And treat it like a game. Treat it like, okay, this is what you have for me, this is what I have to overcome, and let's do this. And most of the time it won't feel like a game, but when you're in that stage of working and when you're in the stage of thinking about it, you've got to treat it like a game, you've got to treat it like something fun, like something exciting. So we treat it like a game. And we got to work on these things. And you do it like one step at a time, and that's sort of the first step with treating your dyslexia, is identify it. It's not identifying your dyslexia, it's identifying those little nicks, those little subsections, the little like effects of it. You know when you take like like some medication or whatever, there'll be side effects. The side effects, there's not really side effects, they're the effects of the drug. They're the effects that it has on your body, and some of the effects you have are negative. It's like dyslexia. This is how it affects you. You maybe bad reading, bad writing might consider those side effects, but that's how it affects you. Same with your creative, your imagination, your ability to see things, your ability to make connections, your ability to speak. And so with all the gifts, the side effects of all the negatives. Negatives are the side effects of all the gifts. But they're all the effects that we have. And we got to work on them, not as in everything, not as a whole, but as individual side effects, individual effects that it has on us. So the step number one is always about identifying. It's always about seeing it. And the best way to say it is you get it clear. You get it clear. And I remember I'd done a little training, and and in the book I'm writing, I really spent so long trying to explain it in the best way possible. And it's something that changed my life and changed my dyslexia journey dramatically. This is what I call the dyslexia blueprint. And this is when you're identifying your dyslexia in the clearest terms possible. And the way you do this is in two parts. First part is your dyslexia, like what is your dyslexia? What is your dyslexia? Now this isn't anything emotional. This isn't like how it makes you feel. It's not the effect it had on your emotions. It's not the effect it had on your confidence, on your self-esteem. This is the effect it had, the effect that dyslexia has on you. Okay, what do you actually find hard and what do you actually find easy? Not about things that you developed over time, but about things that you actually like, your reading, your writing, your sense of direction, your losing things, your organisation skills. What do you actually find hard? You're remembering, you're keeping track of a conversation, all those things. You're going to write them down. And also the easy things, because something very, very interesting about the brain is like when we have these deficits, per se, in the brain, when our brain can't perform certain tasks and cognitive functions as well as others, this means that it has to be some sort of positive, negative, like gain, positive, negative charge. So I can't think of the right words here, but it's like when one part of the brain is less, another part of the brain is more. When one part of when you can't do one task, you do another task even better. Okay, does that make sense? So everything balances itself out, and so that's really, really convenient when it's like with dyslexia. That makes us know we put all these negative things down of what we can't do. That means there's some strengths that we can do on the other side of it. And the trick is identifying that. The trick is searching for that. The trick is looking for that and seeing it in ourselves. But once we do that with our dyslexia, see, okay, here are all the things that we struggle with. And here's all the this is all the advantages it gives us. This is for our dyslexia. And then we go into what I call our emotion side of things. I call this the yin and yang of dyslexia. The yin is the dyslexia type of stuff. The yang is how it is what builds up over time of not being enough in school, of not being enough in the world. And when we have this building up, it like really affects on so many different ways. Because if you just had to deal with dyslexia, it wouldn't be much of an issue. But because we have to deal with all this stuff on top of what we believe about ourselves, or what we believe we can and what we believe we can't do, about our happiness, our sense of esteem, our confidence, our trauma, that is the stuff that holds us back. That is the stuff that limits us. So you have to identify the two, and identifying it is so important now. Now, some things that I mentioned here is very, very common for us dyslexics. First step, identifying. And then after we identify these important things, we have to begin working on them. We have to begin working, we have to begin developing strategies to working to develop them. And now I said in the last podcast, I said in the last podcast about how to work on them, like the three different elements. You can either improve it yourself, you can either have a strategy to work around it, or you can change your view upon it. Now, with all these problems, you have to, I would say, do a mixture of working on yourself and find strategies around it. Find strategies around it and working on yourself, and you have to do that consistently. Now, there's a concept I want to introduce to you, because I think in the next podcast I might do it more, because I don't want to go for too long. There's a concept that I learned through Tony Robbins' first personal development tape years and years ago, and I still think of it today. And basically, it's a little story behind it. This is a concept, and this is what we have to think of when we think about dyslexia. This is what we have to think of when we think of our work on these little issues. Because it's very hard for us to have a solution when it comes to communication, when it comes to organisation. When we have a solution and it works and it fixes us forever, very, very uncommon. Normally, you have to do this strategy or this philosophy, as it were, that I live by in my life. So basically, the story is something called kunai. Now, no, I think it's a Chinese term. I think it's Chinese or Indian. Sorry, I'm bad with names. But it's called this term's called kaizen. They use it over there. They use it in the language, in their day-to-day language. They say, okay, what's the kaizen of your business? Kaizen of your relationship? Kaizen of your health? Now, where this term originated from is when after the World War II ended. World War II, there's a big bomb, their sort of when I say ecosystem, the whole money system of how to make money and businesses is really flatlining, and they're not made for quality products. Now they are. Then, because the company, Nissan, was it Nissan Toyota? No. It's a company that can make computers and stuff. Computers and gadgets. Not Nissan. It's not a car. Anyway, long story short, they were failing, and they brought some American bloke over there who's really famous in marketing. And he said, look, the only way you can outperform in the world marketplace is by constantly improving your product. It's not about having a cap about money, about, okay, we can't spend this much money. It's about always constantly improving the product over and over and over and over and over again. And he said, we've got to do this. We've got to have constant, never-ending improvement in the product. And then they really were classed as completely reliable. Trying to think of the name. Completely reliable, and everyone knows them, and they're known for their reliability now, and basically part of their quality, because they never stopped improving, and that's how they exploded that little business. And now all the businesses there use it, the Kaizen, and basically the constant, never-ending improvement. Constant, never-ending improvement. And now Kaizen. Now I want us to think about that. on our dyslexia stuff, on our improving, on our treating our dyslexia, on our looking at our board of what I call a dyslexia blueprint of all the things we want to work on. And now we want to identify it. Not as meant to something depressive, but okay, I'm going to really work on myself. I'm going to put a lot of time and energy into this stuff. And you write it down. Okay, what things do I need to work on? Okay, let's use it as Kaizen. Okay, it's constant, never-ending improvement on things. Now the big things like reading, writing, spell checking, this and that, we've got to constantly never-ending improvement. Now I'm not meaning like work on ourselves so we can read and write perfectly, because that's sometimes going to take a lot of. You mean sometimes that endeavour can not be worth it. I mean, I'm speaking from experience. Someone like me, learning how to spell perfectly every single word there is. I tried that for a number of years. This is after school. This is when I'm working. Like every single day I worked on it for a number of years. Did improve it, not to a point that there was like almost 200. Like I did little videos like this, like 176 days of me improving my English, having dyslexia, try and get things spelt right. And look, I was improving it dramatically. My brain was learning so much. Just for about the effort I was putting in, because where my life was at that point. You mean that there's a reward to effort ratio, and the reward is satisfactory for me. What does it do in the real life? You mean like there's other ways for me to be able to spell correctly? Strategies that I have, workarounds that really work for me, but I constantly never ending improving it. I find it hard here when I'm emailing people like with work, passing information back and forth. I still have to get myself look at it. I still have to go through strategies for my spell checking, and that's just what I need to constantly improve. Okay, the strategy for spell checking, asking for help, all this, but it's this approach of never ending improving it. This approach, they're saying, yes, there'll never be one solution that fixes all, but we got to constantly improve our strategy, constantly improve our work-ons, constantly improve our abilities, because that's the real way we're going to conquer our dyslexia. That's the real way we're going to never let it stop us. And guess what? If we had the discipline of constantly never improving this, we'll improve so many other areas of our life as well. Anyway, guys, I hope you enjoyed today's episode. I will see you all again tomorrow for another one. Oh, yes, sorry. I just thought this, something I've been wanting to mention is that a couple of episodes ago I'd done about my reading and about how I'd done my little reading program thing. Little reading program that's transformed my life dramatically. And I basically sort of redone it for like 5-6 minutes. And I looked and I started reading again, and I read, it's amazing. I'm reading this book now, and I have the discipline to like read 30 minutes a day. What's it called again? It's about like why it's hard for white people to understand racism. Anyway, I found that quite interesting. So I'm taking discipline now to read that. I'll spend 30 minutes each day, and I want to update you on that, and I want you to let's see, okay, how's my reading coming along? Because like I started reading it and I got really frustrated because I didn't go through I didn't like kind of like stretch my mind or like I trained my mind in this little program thing, and because it's just really hard, like it was every word was really hard. Then I went through the program thing and I read it. I was like, oh, this is perfect and smooth and easy, and I liked it. And so I read a lot for half an hour. Now I'm going to go back, get the book out and read again. That's what I'm going to do straight after this podcast. Anyway, guys, I'm going to keep that updated. I'll let you know how that goes. And job goes first day today. Anyway, guys, keep you updated on all that. I hope we're doing good. I hope we're conquering dyslexia. If you have any questions, please email me at conqueringdyslexia.com and all of that. And live well and bye-bye.